It just baffles me that people are so educated that they've become stupid now. Another tribute to the scripture where it talks about, hey, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. So,
all hell breaks loose if it's not in his order.
hello again, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at another example of why women can't be honest. And this was a debate, I know, on the whatever podcast with I don't know what's his name, Andrew Wilson and some Marxist lady. All it is, the entire debate is him explaining to her how the world works. That's it. And it's crazy that women have this delusional idea. And how did it get this bad? How did women even believe in this stuff? I don't understand. How do they not look and be like, yeah, men are different and women are different, and we can't do what they do. They will argue with you to the end, to the death, and still never admit, yeah, I see your point. They will not do that. It is crazy the hoops they have to jump through to lie to themselves. And you know what? When people do that, they'll never be able to see. They'll never be able to learn. They think that they're so smart, and they use these big words, which I don't understand. All these extra words, like what do they even mean? Whatever. It's like a father trying to explain to his princess daughter, no, honey, you can't be like men. And this is why. And she's like, but I could still do it. So, let's watch.
Men to be dependent on women?
No.
And have women be the predominant mode of production under capitalism?
I don't think it's possible.
But would you want that?
Well, I couldn't want a thing I don't think is possible
Why?
because it's not possible.
Well, I mean, why is it not possible?
It's not possible because women are not capable of doing the same types of things that men are capable of doing.
Such as?
Inside of society, enforcement.
Enforcement? Mm-hmm. So like police and...
That is very true. Let me include some clips of women being overtaken by men as their police officers. Just look.
Help me. Somebody call the police. I mean, you're using excessive force, sir. I wish I had another man here to help me.
What the? Son of a bitch!
You better listen to me. I mean, please listen to me. Come on. I went to training and everything for this. Come on. Get over here. Let me arrest you. No. And then we had the director of Secret Service.
Yeah, and this is women being police officers.
Not military.
Military?
Mm-hmm. Military, policing,
I don't think
special
men
services.
I don't think men really are capable of that.
I mean, the men have gone and fought global wars time and time again and won.
Yeah, and what outcomes do they have?
They win the war.
They suffer severe PSD. They have a hard time integrating into society. I mean, that doesn't seem like a natural condition for men to be subjected to.
There can be symptoms of violence, but remember, not everybody gets PTSD, even combat veterans. A lot of them don't have PTSD. Some get PTSD.
Right.
But not only that, that's a coping mechanism. It's going to be individualistic. Men are definitely capable of extreme.
But it is an outcome of being exposed to extreme
for some
violence.
people.
I could say that about women.
Yeah, you can. But the problem when it comes down to enforcement is that women can't do enforcement.
What do you mean?
So I'll give you the easy hypothetical.
Okay.
If all men tomorrow decide that women in the United States are slaves, are women in the United States slaves?
No.
No.
What the heck? How could she seriously say no? If all men right now wanted to just dominate women, they could easily do that. Again, except for Indian or Asian men, probably not, probably like a fair fight. But men could do that. And why don't they do that? If women were able to do that, they would, because they hate men. They want to control men. Remember, they hate that men are men. They want to be them so bad, but they can't be because they're so angry. I just don't get it. I don't get why women can't just be women and let the men be men. Women want to be like, no, that's not how men do things. Men do things like this. No. How can you not be honest? I know. Let's let her be a police officer for the day. Maybe, she might admit that she was wrong. She might. Doubt it. She probably will come up with but I think we should try it out. I think they should do that.
Why wouldn't they be?
I think it would be
How could women stop it?
I mean, it would just depend essentially on like access to resources.
Yeah, men have the access to all the resources because they made you slaves.
Yes.
Well, that's
be
how
a
women
woman.
could stop it.
Women couldn't
it would
stop
just be a fight over resources.
How come women can't stop it in Islamic nations then when they just go, okay, you're all slaves?
Obviously, in Islamic nations, they don't have access to specific resources.
Nobody has access to resources if men don't allow access to those resources. Nobody. Because men have a monopoly on force. That's feminist theory. Feminists understand, even Marxist feminists know this, that men have a monopoly on force. So, in other words, if men collectively...
Under patriarchy, I agree.
No, under any archy, they're going to need to have men as their monopoly on force. I'll give you an example. If tomorrow men decided to enslave all women would be enslaved. However, if tomorrow all women decided to enslave all men, they do not have the force doctrine and requisite necessary to do so. They
Okay.
could not do it. They just couldn't do it physically.
Within any context.
No.
So if women had access to all the drones, if women had access to all the water supply,
repairs them
if
all?
women had access,
We
if
repair
women
them
had
all.
access to, I mean, women can have the capacity to repair. I don't understand, like,
Okay, so here's what I would say. Let's do this experiment this way. If women had access to all of the firearms on Earth that exist, okay, and every weapon which exists, and they have access to all of that, they still don't have the requisite brute force that would be necessary to keep men under control. They just wouldn't. It wouldn't be possible to do long term.
what do you mean
Even
by
short term.
what do you mean like by brute force? That they just
Men
wouldn't be
are-
able to pull the trigger?
No, that men are much, much, much stronger, and that
Sure.
guns are only an equalizer until men take your guns.
Right, and obviously they would have to get close enough. But I mean, I don't
can.
care how strong you are if you don't have water and food. What
Well,
are
it's
you gonna
really
do?
simple then. Do you think that if you were the head of a prison, would you rather have all male or all female guards if you were dealing with dangerous prisoners, even if both had access to guns?
I mean, I guess it would depend what the goal is. I
To
think
keep
women,
the prisoners who are dangerous under control.
I mean, I think women can make really great police officers because they are less likely to use excessive force. They're more likely to
Women are more likely to make better police officers because they're less likely to use excessive force. Men, please don't call her bluff. I appreciate you and all the hard work you do, even though she doesn't.
de-escalate, where men are more likely to escalate.
More likely to get disarmed, more likely to get beaten up, more likely to accidentally shoot a suspect. They're more likely to do all sorts of things to the contrary as well. But there's also way fewer females who are in the police force because they can't meet the minimum requirements, which are necessary to be a cop. They can't meet the necessary minimum physical requirements. Same thing in the military. They can't
Well,
meet the
okay.
necessary minimum physical requirements to be in the infantry. Most women can't do it.
Right.
So men have a monopoly on force, and because of force doctrine, this ends up coming down to this idea. If it is the case, you say that women can do anything that men can do. I counter this by saying they cannot. They cannot do enforcement. This is uniquely a male thing. There are some women who can be introduced who can meet these standards, but on average, they can't.
Well, I think if we're to kind of bring it to an analogy, if the fence is 6 feet tall and most women are 5'8", then yeah, of course they're not going to be able to meet that standard. So is the standard just specific to certain male criteria that?
Well, it would be the criteria of you need to handle a male. So if you're a female police officer, you need to be able to handle a male, right?
Yeah, but obviously, like, you have tools to aid in that. That's what I'm saying. Like, just because women aren't meeting these criteria
Do you have to
doesn't
get
mean
close
that.
to a male when you're a police officer as a female in order to put like handcuffs on them, stuff like that?
Yeah, but you have like pepper spray and stun guns.
Yeah, and routinely women get disarmed and they're routinely overpowered by suspects. Routinely happens often, and
Sure, and men often use excessive force, and then they're sued.
Yeah,
then
maybe.
people
but
die,
when you
like-
say men use excessive force, you're just demonstrating my point that men have a monopoly on force. Yes, maybe it's
No, I'm
excessive,
saying
but
a
they're capable of
propensity
using
to
it.
use force, sure.
No. They're just better at using force because they're much stronger. They're much stronger. They have much denser bones, so they're much.
I
more
mean, I
capable
don't
of-
disagree with that.
I can't believe this is the arguing point. I can't believe he has to explain this to her. Men, you see this woman. Don't marry her. We see how hard-headed she is, how she's not willing to be truthful here in any sense. You see right here. This is what you're going to get over every subject, every topic that y'all talk about. This is how difficult it's going to be. And there's many more that are like this. You see. Don't do it. Don't do it.
So-
The average male is stronger, sure.
well, significantly stronger. It's not an insignificant amount between the average male and average female. Now, I want this point to drive home because it's often stated like, oh yeah, there's this small marginal difference. No, it's a significant difference. 60, 70% in many cases.
Okay.
Much, much, much stronger. This being the case, men have the complete monopoly on force doctrine because they're much, much, much stronger. Just raw brute force, which if you reduce rights, you reduce society, reduce everything to its rawest principle, it's going to be brute force. I want to make you do thing. I always have this.
I don't like agree because with violence, there can definitely come consequences that are not desirable in terms of the outcome. Like if men wanted women to be slaves, who determines if the species goes on?
Men.
Women.
No, men, if you were slaves.
How?
The same way they did in Rome. They impregnated their slaves.
Well, I mean, but women could just commit suicide.
Yeah, why didn't they in Rome?
Well, wouldn't that just be black swan fallacy? Just because there's that one example where they did.
Oh, no.
I think
That's
to a
in
specific
every
degree.
Here, we'll give you every example. They didn't do it under Genghis Khan. They didn't do it
Yeah,
in
it would just
Rome.
be again a black
They
swan
didn't-
fallacy.
Okay, I don't know where all these new terms came from. Black swan fallacy. How about this? She just can't admit the truth. That's it. If men took over today and said, every woman, you are going to do what I say, and then also how she's saying, well, we're just not going to give you babies. Ha! Yeah. They'll just force you to have babies? Duh. If they need more people. Anyways, just with this one, I swear. And then she said it's a black swan fallacy. That was her response. Instead of, oh, yeah, you're right, because men are stronger. They could easily overpower me by using excessive force. But no, she still won't admit it.
So,
But I mean,
that's not a black swan fallacy, by the way. But that
how did it not be? We just haven't seen it, so
me-
therefore it can't happen.
Okay, so first of all, what I'm saying is I'm pointing to a historic standard.
Sure.
And saying the
I
historic
understand
standard,
that.
and I asked you a question. I didn't make a propositional statement, so that's why it can't be fallacious.
But I would say that ultimately it does come down to women. If she doesn't want to sustain pregnancy and is a slave, she does obviously have the opportunity to kill herself.
Yes, but
like you can't have society continue.
I will say that I'll grant this. It is logically possible that all women who are enslaved can off themselves. Not disputing that.
Right.
However, it's also logically possible they do not, right?
Sure.
Okay, which one do you think is more likely then?
I mean, it would
that they do
depend
or
on
don't?
it would depend on so many different conditions.
Okay.
and how-
Men, please don't call her bluff. I appreciate you and all the hard work you do, even though she doesn't. better be built like a person that does CrossFit every day. After I get done with the sheetrock up here. Whew, I better have a core of steel. She can't admit anything. This is what's wrong with a lot of women today. This is what's wrong with feminism. This is what's wrong with fathers not being in the house, telling them, no, sweetie, that's not how it works. This is crazy. Women are crazy. Men, you've been warned. Don't get with these crazy girls. Don't do it. They might look pretty, but don't do it. You will suffer. You will suffer. That whole 8-minute conversation was a suffer for me. And I'm pretty sure it was a suffer for him. And I'm surprised that he sat through 7 hours of it. Man, you've been warned. Don't get with that one. Don't get with that one. That is going to be... You know what? Do what you want. But I wouldn't do it. Oh, you thought I was gone. See you next time.